Yo guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, we are going to be going over 25 icons that I would like to see at least in FIFA 22. Now obviously not all these icons are going to come out in FIFA 22. We'll be lucky if we get maybe 5 or 10. But this, some of these players would be nice to see as icons in the game. We haven't had any word on which icons will be joining the FIFA, game database, whatever. But these are some players that I would like to see. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys drop a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new, and let me know down below which icons you guys want to see in FIFA 22. And before we get started, as you guys can see, the first player here on the screen is Adriano. Keep in mind, these ratings are just mock-ups. There's no specific version of them or whatever. They're just the player. So before you guys go in the comments and say he should be higher rated, he should be lower rated, this is just a, rough estimate of what they are. But as I said, our first player here on the screen is Adriano. He's had a very, very nice career. And I think he would be a really nice Brazilian icon to have in the game. He's one that, kind of is a toss-up as far as EA goes, because again, we do have quite a few Brazilian icons in the game. We also do have a couple strikers as well, but it would be interesting to see another Brazilian icon come in, and one that would be fairly good, 88 pace around there. Next up we have Shabby Alonso here, very similar to Pep Guardiola and his kind of player style. Alonso would be a really nice card to have in game. I do think he does deserve an icon card. He had a very, very good career between Liverpool, Real Madrid, Bayern, and whatever else. He could be one that gets a really, really nice card, a nice CDM card too. Obviously, his stats probably wouldn't be that juiced knowing EA, but he would be a very fun card to kind of have in game. Next up we have Beckenbauer. Now this one is, he obviously does deserve a card. However, he was recently reported to have some kind of scandal, I guess, whatever it might be, so maybe EA probably wouldn't include him because of his little corruption thing that's been going on. But with that being said, he would be an icon that would be really, really fun. We also do have a few other center backs that are German too. We do have Mateus, as well as, who else really is there? I don't know. But he would be a nice addition to the FIFA, the FIFA icon team, and I think, an elite center back similar to Maldini. This would be a fun card to add into the game. Next up, we have Jamie Carriger. Now this one obviously is going to be a bit of a toss-up too, because there's a lot, with the new foot heroes coming out, there is potential that this guy could be, not good enough to be an icon, but could be getting a card like this. Obviously, again, it's a toss-up like I said, but he would be a nice little addition. We do have quite a few English center backs as is, so we'll have to wait and see for something like that. Next up, we have a guy that actually really does deserve an icon card, and that's Dani Alves. He has had a wonderful, wonderful career between Barcelona and then going to PSG, whatever else that might be. He's had a very, very good career, and I would love to see this guy get an icon card. I do think he will eventually. Now, I'm not sure if he's officially retired yet. I want to say he is, but I know he was playing in South America a little while ago, so eventually we'll get a card like this. It would be nice to see him, especially because he hasn't been in FIFA for a little while now, but this is one that definitely deserves to get in. Next up, we have Edgar Davids. Is there much more to say? This guy, honestly, just alone with his looks, he's an icon with the goggles and then the hair. I would love to see this card added into the game. Eventually, we'll probably get him. I really hope we do soon, but he would be a fun one to get. Next up, we have Stefano. Now, this is a card I really think could get in as one of the next icons in FIFA. I see him in a lot of predictions. I've heard rumors of him potentially coming in now. I know there's a bit of a nation, some people can list him as a Spaniard. Whether or not he get whatever nation he is, I do think he's got the potential to have an icon card soon. This would be an absolutely insane one to have again. Another like elite striker. He would be one of those really, really expensive icons, and I'd love to see this card added into the game. Next up, we have Forlan, a Uruguayan, finally a different nation amongst the top 8 or whatever. This would be a fun card to have in game too. Again, he's one of the Uruguayan best, I guess you can say. He's had a really, really good career, and again, I think Suarez would be one that would join him very, very soon on the Uruguayan icon list. But again, another fun card that could be added into the game. Next up, we have Tim Howard. Now, I know Stupid yank, that's what you guys are all saying. He's actually one of the few United States people that I think does deserve an icon card. He does have the record in the World Cup for that insane Belgian game that he had in the 2014 World Cup. This would be the only American I think that deserves an icon card. Other than that, the rest of them I would say no. But this would be a nice card to have in game. I think he would be a fun goalkeeper. And not to mention, we don't really have, I mean, we do have icon goalkeepers, but we don't have any like insane ones. I think this could be one, just the build that he has. He could be, you know, somewhat decent. Maybe not. We'll see. Next up, we have Oliver Kahn. Now, an actual goalkeeper that really should have an icon card at this point. Now, again, I don't know what EA licensing is, all that, and you know, I think he's worked with PES before too, but this would be an insane icon card to have in game. He'd obviously be one of the best goalkeepers that the game will, you know, have for an icon. I do think he really deserves it, and I hope we get a card like this very soon. Next up, Lucio. Again, sorry for the image, guys, but you know, some of these cards are hard to find images for. Again, another Brazilian center back. He would be a really fun one to have in game, a really solid one too. I'm trying to obviously make icon cards where they'll actually be usable, unlike half the icon center backs that we have currently in the game that have like 70 pace. I would like to see some of these cards get a little bit more usable, and that's what I'm trying to do with some of these icon cards. Next up on the list is Muller. Now this card also, he's a guy that really does deserve an icon card too. Obviously licensing is a little tough for a guy like this, but he's had, you know, he had a very insane career, that German man, and he really does deserve an icon card. I'd love to see one. He'd be another one of those elite forwards that we could finally have. And next up we have Nani. Now he's actually not retired, he's still playing in the MLS. There were rumors he was going to retire when I made these cards like a month or two ago, but obviously he's still playing in the MLS for Orlando City, so he can't really get an icon card. But once he does retire, he will be one that probably gets it. He will be known as one of those Portuguese icons, along with Cristiano Ronaldo and all that. So I am excited to see a Nani card soon, you know, for his time with Manchester United and whatever else. Next up on the list, Gary Neville. You know, English right back as well. If we were going to include Jamie Carriger, we had to include Neville as well. You know, he's had a very good career with Manchester United. There's not really much more for me to say. But again, he's one of those that is kind of on the edge. He could get one of those foot hero cards as well. And I think, you know, if EA do include that, obviously he wouldn't get an icon card. I see those two both actually probably getting a Foot Heroes card before an icon card, but again, that's such a toss-up for debate, and obviously I'd leave it down to what you guys decide. Let me know if you guys think that these two guys would be able to get an icon card or not. And next up we have another guy who could also get a Foot Heroes card. He actually, you know, rightfully probably deserves a Foot Hero card more than an icon card too. I did include him as an icon because I made this before I knew Foot Hero cards were coming out. But he's another guy too that really, you know, could get a Foot Hero or an icon card. A very iconic player, especially in that Manchester United team, you know, with Sir Alex Ferguson. So another toss-up card I'd like to see potentially get one of those too. Now we have a guy that'll definitely be an icon, and that's Wayne Rooney. Is there really much to debate about it? Not really. He does deserve an icon card. When he gets it, I'm not sure. I'd like to see him in FIFA 22 because obviously he is the Derby manager now, right? Regardless though, you know, he's a guy that really does deserve it. When he gets his card, obviously he will be an absolute insane card to use. There's not much more to say. You know he deserves this card anyways. And next up we have Schneider. Now, he is going to go down as a Dutch legend. I believe he's done now with Galatasaray in Turkey, so he should be getting a card rather soon. He's honestly, you know, one of those iconic players. He had a decent World Cup in 2014 and a very good career. A card I expect to see very soon too. Next up we have John Terry. Now John Terry I think does fall into the icon category. Again, it's a toss-up between Foot Heroes because again, I wasn't expecting those cards to come out when I made these. But I'd like to see John Terry get an icon card. Again, an iconic Chelsea player. You know, a great player for England too. I do expect to probably see him get an icon card eventually. Whether or not he gets it this year, obviously we don't know. But he's one that does deserve an icon card soon, and I would like to see that in FIFA 22 as well. Next up, we have Thirum. Now, this card should come out too. I want to see another, French defender come out, and I think he'd be a great card to come out for FIFA 22, adding on to our 101 icons that we have now with Riquelme. So, a card I'd like to see too. So next up on the list, guys, we have Tati. There's not really much to add. Like, we all know he's going to get an icon card eventually. I don't think he's going to get 85 pace. EA's probably going to make him a little bit slower, which would probably make him unusable in game, depending on how the game plays for FIFA 22, which we're going to be reviewing tomorrow, or today, tomorrow, whatever day this video comes out. It'll be the next video that drops. But, this is a card that does deserve to get one. Tati's had an amazing career for Roma and Italy. I'm sure he will end up getting an icon card. Next up on the list, Valderrama. I don't think we have a Colombian icon. I would like to see one eventually, and I think he does deserve to be one. Obviously has the insane hair, so he'd be fun to use in game too. But I do think we are going to see EA try to include more icons from different nations. And I'd like to see, another South American icon come into the game. Next up, we have Persie, the Flying Dutchman. He has had an amazing career. Obviously, had that iconic goal in the World Cup of 2014. A guy that I expect to get an icon card, and he's probably towards the top of the list now that he's been, retired for a little while now. So I do expect to see a Persie card come out very, very soon too, and I really do think he could come out in FIFA 22. Next up, we have David Villa. Obviously, he retired from the MLS, I think like 2 or 3 years ago. Whatever it is, he was playing for New York City FC. He's had an amazing career with Barcelona and Spain. He's gonna get one too. Again, like our last one, he is one that's kind of towards the top of the list, and I do think he's gonna get an icon card very, very soon. And we also have Timothy Weah here. Obviously, there's not much to say about him too. A guy from obviously a different nation. But he would be a really, really cool icon to have. I think he'd be an insane forward too. Again, it's just down to whether or not EA add him. And finally, to wrap it up, Yaya Toure. Obviously, he has had an amazing career too with Barcelona and Man City. I do expect him to get a card rather soon too, but these are all cards I would like to see in FIFA 22. Obviously, with Foot Heroes, some of these guys could actually end up getting one of those cards instead of icon cards. But this is my list. I'd like to see at least a few of these guys get icon cards this year. Obviously, we won't get all 25 in FIFA 22. But these are 25 of them that I think deserve to get in, and some of them, rather sooner than others. So we'll have to wait and see. I do hope we get them rather soon. And that pretty much wraps up the video. Let me know what icons you guys want to see in FIFA 22. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, guys, peace.